Hi, today we are going to talk about how to use HOT guided missiles while flying only by yourself. It can be done regardless of site type, and it is possible while hovering and flying towards the target alike. The only requirement for this to work is trimming the helicopter precisely, so that it can keep the desired flight parameters while you search for and engage the target from the other seat. Regardless of the quality of the trim, usually some corrections are needed. Because of that, I recommend using a secondary mini stick or a separate gamepad for slewing the sight around and keeping the main joystick for controlling the helicopter at all times. It is more convenient to just bump the stick a bit, rather than to switch between seats whenever it is necessary to refine flight parameters or hovering position. Another help in managing both seats at the same time are autopilot modes and director needles on the main attitude indicator. Use the appropriate needles mode first, VIS for flight and DOP for hover, to establish flight parameters and then trim. Engagement of the autopilot should be performed as a last step. While the autopilot can be engaged beforehand, it's better to wait with it until you're in a stable hover and facing the target, so that the autopilot goes straight into engaged mode, signalized by the green lettering CVS and/or ALV. Doing so will provide with the smoothest and the most stable operation. Now I'm going to demonstrate both methods against a pair of Shilkas. Taking down missile-based air defenses is possible as well, as seen here, but the sneaking to a firing position takes more time and it won't really enhance this recording. Here I am already cruising towards the target, helicopter is trimmed and flying along the parameters I chose, straight and level. The ball is in the middle, and once I'm happy with the performance, once the helicopter is stable on course for a couple of seconds, I can switch the seats and start preparing for the engagement of the targets. I am completely off the stick. Helicopter is flying by himself with the trim only, while I am preparing all the items needed for the use of the sight and the missiles. I know where the targets are, more or less. The Shilkas are currently hidden behind the trees, which means I need to turn a little bit, and we'll do it from the pilot seat while looking at the screen. The vertical needle on the main attitude indicator shows me where the sight is pointed. That's the VIS mode, and it helps with aligning the helicopter so that the missiles are within the permissible launch parameters, so I can fire away. Once the needle is in the center, or maybe up to 3 degrees left or right, that's the same as the rectangular symbol on the side, which means that the missile can be fired. Also, I am slowing down. Since these missiles are subsonic, they take quite some time to travel to the target, which means I might well end up in the engagement envelope of the second Shilka once the first missile hit, if I cover too much ground during the missile's time of flight. So I am slowing down, not to hurry as much towards the target. We're still a little bit too far, but I see I am drifting to the right. Now with a slight bump on the stick, I can straighten out the helicopter to reduce the angle off, to fly towards the target again and to clear the trees. Once I launch the missile from the left, here, the helicopter gets imbalanced, so it progressively wants to tilt to the right. So I need to correct that with the left stick. I can watch the missile guidance and correct the helicopter's attitude at the same time. And now we are off the target. There's no need to get any closer. Those Shilkas are alive, and they can hit me even at those ranges, especially when I am stationary. It happened before during the preparations for this video. Right now I am hidden in the clutter, so they don't even know I'm there, and right now I'm positioning for a hovering demonstration. That white building in front of us looks like a good vantage point. It will provide me with terrain masking and a place to hide behind, while also it's tall enough so that I have a good vantage point, look to the target from above, so it's not obstructed by other buildings or trees. Approach to a hover, a little bit of sync rate. I like the effect on the trees, which are disturbed by the rotor downwash. Right now the main job is to trim the aircraft so that it wants to hover by itself. I'm switching to the DOP mode. The needles doesn't show the current position as in a bob-up. They only show the drift rate. So whenever I'm moving forward, aft, left and right, the corresponding needles will move from the center. As long as both of them are crossed in the middle of the ASI, I'm hovering more or less in the same spot. And now I'm engaging the auto hover CVS, and as you can see, it immediately goes to the green engaged status. Here I'm choosing another missile, and now I'm going to creep up a little bit, gently, slowly, just to see the target over the roof. Quick look to the right, if there is a clear space, in case I need to bail out. You can notice that the point of view of the camera on the roof is different than of the pilot. So with a little bit of practice and precision, it is possible to perform a reconnaissance with most of the helicopter hidden behind the buildings or other terrain features. And the target is visibly both in front of us and on the amphibian screen. I'm engaging the slave mode, which means that the helicopter is automatically pointed towards the point of vision of the sight. It's important to engage it only once you are roughly aligned with the target already, because if you do it with too much angle off, the turn towards the target will be violent and you can lose the stabilization. Target hit, I have disengaged all the autopilot modes, flying in manual. It's always a good idea to disengage the autopilot before flying. Switch to the pilot seat. Again, look to the right, how the situation looks like. I have to remember that there are trees below me, so I cannot descend right away. ETL messing with me a little bit here. And we are off the target. Mission accomplished. As I can see, it is very well manageable in a single player mode without a copilot. Of course, having another human doing this for you is much more enjoyable, and it is preferable if you don't have a copilot, or if you want to go through a single player campaign, you can do. Once more, the most important thing is proper trimming of the aircraft so that the default controls position wants to cooperate with the autopilot modes, and it's not really difficult, it just requires a little bit of practice. Thanks for watching and see you next time.